Welcome back to another edition of High School Roundup. As always, I'm John Sakaguchi. Joined with me, my co-host, John Sape. John, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, John. Yeah, there was a lot of great football this weekend, so I'm just ready to get right into it.
Yeah, a lot to talk about. We do have some highlights via our friends from South Union Township and WMBS. So let's take a look at their game of the week.
Describe it, and Anderson with the run up, a little squib kick down on the far side, picked up by Leland Lehue at the 30-yard line. Lehue coming near side at the 35-40. Lehue down the near sideline into Kiski territory. Inside the make up with the first down just shy of the 26 as Gallagher takes the snap, pocket collapses. He steps up, looks near side, single coverage, hauled in by Keandre DeShield here for Gallagher and the Mustangs. And a wide snap, Rod able to haul it in, scrambles far side, throws on the run, pass intercepted. Look out here, this could be a pick six coming back, but the Kiski defender gets all set. And another inside handoff going back to Flem, and Flem lost the football, and the Mustangs recovered.
Yeah, number 10, that's
Tristan Baker.
Yeah, Baker.
So 2nd and 13, Gallagher back out of the shotgun, same formation, takes the snap, hangs in the pocket, steps up, looks near side, throws on the run, man wide open, Antoine Black behind the secondary. Anderson is the punter, as you said, Steve, he's about 9 yards deep in the end zone. You wondered how the Mustang defense would do. That's going to be a safety as that punt. The sight on this 3rd and goal from the 2, but Gallagher still out of the shotgun. Man coming in motion. Little option run. It's going to be Gallagher the entire way, and we'll get inside the pylon on the near side. With 10:35 left before halftime as Gallagher takes the snap. They're bringing the house after him. He's going to step up and look to run. Has the 30, has the 20. Gallagher cuts back at the 15, and Gallagher is going to be drug into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown. They were trying to horse collar him, but they couldn't bring him down.
I watch, and it feels very comfortable right now.
Yeah, nice evening to watch some high school football. The Mustangs going to recover another fumble. That one was coughed up on the far side.
Gallagher had trouble with.
Takes one here. Handoff goes to Antoine Black, and Black's in trouble, and he'll be stopped behind the line. They're going to rule Black down all the way now. 1st and 14. Little pitch pass forward there to Keandre. Keandre with some running room into Kiski territory. Did he lose the football? Yes, he did. And the Cavaliers have it. Coming back the other way, Dominic Simmons. And Simmons takes it back to the Mustang 34. It looks like the play's going to stand. A Keandre fumble, a Simmons recovery, and Kiski will have the football here below. A little play fake, and it's going to be a handoff here and a jet sweep to Dominic Simmons. Simmons will cut back to the 20. Inside the 15, and finally brought down by the Mustangs.
On the scrimmage, you could pull up and just throw it deep.
2nd and 6, Rod in trouble again. Now spinning off to his left, throws on the run. Tough throw, but a nice catch and open space there on the far side. That's Caleb Rafel, and Rafel, a 2nd catch of the night, takes it across the back. Deep side, twin receivers to the far side. Single coverage to the near side line of scrimmage to 43. A little option pitch back. Black in a little bit of trouble trying to get out of it from his own 35. Trying to step up, breaks a tackle. Look out here. Black would have a big run, and he's loose. How about this run, Steve? Black inside the 30, inside the 20. A little traffic from behind, but Black gonna go to the house. 57 yards and a Mustang touchdown. Still a great crowd. for the Mustangs and the Cavaliers. Smith dropped the football off the snap. It's loose. Laurel Highlands recovers.
I think so, Downey.
Rodney in there. Can take the snap here. A step up to the near side, and now Ron looks to throw into the end zone. Wide open. That's Rayful for the touchdown. Wow. The Kiski area Cavaliers as Harry Ratcliffe kicks off again for the Mustangs, saying this one back to the 6-yard line. On the run back here, it's Danino trying to spring one. Danino's still on his feet across the 35-40. Danino into Laurel Highlands territory. Dominic Danino takes it down to the Mustang 47.
At the final score, or as the Mustangs roll over Kiski area, 37-7 in the on that one. And once again, and another dominant performance by the Mustangs. I mean, what can we say about Rodney Gallagher out there?
I mean, he's just absolutely phenomenal. You can see it there on those replays. There, just absolutely lights out. And I know you just mentioned to me, we were just talking about it, just committed to West Virginia University. So huge congratulations and a huge shout out to him for achieving something so great.
Yeah, and probably going to be our player of the game for that one. And as Gallagher, or not only does he do, he's a multi-tool player for the Mustangs. He has a rocket arm, also has speed, and he can also catch the ball and get out in open places. But we also got to talk about one of his running mates out there, number 4, or Antoine Black Jr. also had a big day for the Mustangs.
Yeah, he was just absolutely phenomenal, just making every catch, making every run, just doing everything super well, and just couldn't be stopped by Kiski.
Yeah, so that's the final score there. Now let's take a look at some of the scores from around the rest of the area. John, what do we got?
All right, so starting off with our local scoreboard, we got Albert Gallatin taking on Northern Garrett. Albert Gallatin gets blanked 25-0, unfortunate for them. And then we also have Alderdice taking on the Dover Area High School from Ohio. And a close-fought game, but Dover High able to get the win 19-6.
Yeah, moving on to this one. This one was our game of the week that we picked. Bell Vernon at Mckeesport coming away with this one and upsetting the Leopards in this one. We thought that Bell Vernon might be the favorite in this one. However, close matchup here, 14-6 your final score. And Leechburg hosting Bentworth, and Bentworth getting blanked on that one. And 56-0 your final score there.
Moving forward, we got my Bulldogs, but from Best Center taking on Fort Cherry. Fort Cherry is able to pick up the win there, 48-22. And then we got Brashear taking on Butler. Butler able to pull out the win on that one, 35-22.
Moving on, we have Brentwood traveling to South Park, and South Park picking up a big victory there, 35-7. Another good matchup. Carmichael's traveling to Chartiers Houston. The Buccaneers, there's a Char Houston coming away with the win there, 27-12.
Yeah, absolutely huge there. Then moving on, we got Charleroi taking on York, and then York again putting up all the defensive stops. Like a bunch of shutouts this week. York wins that one 14-0, and then we got Elizabeth Forward taking on East Allegheny. Comfortable win for EF as they win 42-7.
And moving on here, we have Franklin Regional traveling to Connellsville. An old 5A matchup, but the Panthers coming away with the victory here, 40-0. And then Greensburg-Salem travel to Ligonier Valley, and a close game is up there too. 35-12 your final score in that one.
And moving on, we got Highlands taking on Chartiers Valley. Highlands able to pull out a close one in that game, 28-20. Then we got Indiana taking on Shadyside Academy. That one an absolute nail-biter. Indiana pulling out the win, 23-22.
And then another close one. This one actually needed overtime for this one. And Jeanette traveled to Jefferson Morgan, but the Rockets pulling away with this one and 27-26 in overtime. And then the Mapes with another victory. They keep rolling here as they blank Avella 49-0.
Now moving on, we got McGuffey taking on Mount Pleasant. put up half a century there, 50-28 over McGuffey. And then we got Monessen taking on Fraser in another game with just no contest. Monessen able to pull out the victory in that one, 42-6.
Moving on here, South Allegheny traveled up to play Monty Christian in this past Friday. Monty Christian with the victory, 22-7. Southmoreland traveled down over to Derry to take on the Trojans, but the Fighting Scotties come up with a victory, 28-14.
And moving on, we got another close game between Stir Rocks and Avonworth. Avonworth with a 3-point win, 21-18. And then we got Thomas Jefferson taking on West Mifflin. Another shutout as Thomas Jefferson able to win that one, 38-0.
And this came to a shocker to us. We saw this score jump on Wash High and Sarah Catholic. Wash High falls 35-34, or in a close, tight game. It doesn't get any closer than that. Other than like the overtime one we talked about earlier. Waynesburg Central traveled to play Cal High last week. California coming away with a massive victory by the final score, 60-7.
Moving on, we got Trinity taking on Peters Township. Peters Township comfortable in their win, are able to pick up that one, 38-14 over Trinity. And then we got your Uniontown taking on Carrick. Uniontown comfortable, able to get the win there, 38-12.
Moving on here we have West Allegheny taking on Ringgold, 49-7, and the Rams just couldn't get much going on offense there. And then we have West Green and Greensburg Central Catholic, as Greensburg Central takes that one, and by the final score, 57-21. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, folks, we'll have the upcoming schedules, the standings, and don't forget our pick'em game. So we'll be back right after this. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to High School Roundup. I'm John Sakaguchi. Joined with me, as always, John Sate. A lot of games last week, and they were either real close or there was just an offensive display, depending on what game it was. But nonetheless, it was entertaining football to watch.
Yeah, like you said, it was either a one-point game or it was a blowout. But either way, some good football. I think the game that I won to start with was the Mckeesport Bell Vernon game. Just something that we talked about last week. Bell Vernon able to beat them twice, I believe, last season, and then both of us had Bell Vernon winning that game, and then Mckeesport able to come out and not only get the offense that they needed to get done, but able to put up a strong defense and hold Bell Vernon to only 6 points all game.
And I mean, we saw what happened when the Leopards took on Laurel Highlands 2 weeks ago. And it was just no contest. They found a way to shut down Rodney Gallagher, which is a feat in its own task. But the way that Mckeesport handled themselves this week, was just phenomenal. And then you have the Jefferson Morgan game with Jeanette at a 1-point game that had to go to overtime. I didn't get a chance to look at the box score to see what happened, and I'm really interested to see that one and see what had happened. Also, another good one, and we talked about was I believe also involved Greensburg Salem. That one, and just routing their opponents. And then Indiana Shadyside Academy. What can we say? These games are just getting closer and closer every week.
Yeah, I think the best one of them all had to have been Sarah Catholic versus Washington. I mean, two absolute powerhouse teams. Two teams that you never expect to lose anyway, but someone had to lose that game, and Sarah Catholic able to get the win.
Right, and as we say, and for wrestling, for WWE fans, if it's a good matchup, they always chant and fight forever. I guarantee you the fans were wanting to see more of that one, and I guarantee you we will not see the end of that one. And potential playoff matchup, we could be. We'll see. But let's take a look at the upcoming schedule this week. So let's get it going.
We can take a look at the 4A Big 7 Conference, 3 matchups in there. We got Connellsville taking on Trinity. And after that, we got Latrobe at Thomas Jefferson. And then we got Mckeesport at Laurel Highlands. That's going to be an absolute amazing game.
That's going to be interesting to watch. It's now moving on over to the 2A Century Conference. Brentwood takes on McGuffey. Stowe Rocks at Charleroi. We all know and Peyton will be looking out for that one. And Waynesburg Central at Keystone Oaks. So keep an eye on that one, folks.
And then after that, we got the 1A Black Hills Conference. We got Bishop Canavan taking on Burgettstown. Then we got Chartiers Houston taking on Fort Cherry. We got Cornell at Avella. And then we got Our Lady Sacred Heart taking on Calvinton.
And the defending Whipple contender is also went on that Cinderella run. And let's see how they fare this year. Moving on now to the 1A Eastern Conference. Only 2 games there for the conference play this week. Fraser at Jeanette and Springdale at Leechburg are moving on now all to the 1A Tri-County South. A lot of good matchups in this one, John. Jefferson Morgan at California, Mapletown at Beth Center, and Monessen at Carmichael's. Monessen at Bentworth and West Green at Carmichael's. I misread that. I had a typo on my notes here.
And then after that, we got a humongous slate of non-conference games, starting off Albert Gallatin at Uniontown. Going to be an interesting one there. We got Carrick taking on Brownsville. Then we got Deer Lakes at Greensburg Salem. Then we got Greensburg Central Catholic taking on Washington. That's going to be a fantastic game. And then we got Knock taking on Southmoreland.
And some more non-conference matchups to look at. Mount Pleasant goes to Valley High School. Our Lady of Mount Carmel takes on Brashear School, coming up from Maryland, to take on a Pittsburgh school. That should be interesting. Penn Trafford goes to Bell Vernon, and that's another matchup we might want to keep an eye out for. And Ringgold at West Mifflin. Shadyside Academy also goes to Elizabeth Forward. So a lot of good matchups there.
Yeah, I can see a bunch of them. I know we'll talk about some more later with our pick'em games, but like you said, there's just a bunch of very, very good matchups. A bunch of teams very close together, not only in record, but just in terms of just skill in general. So I expect next week's episode to be a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah, so just without even going over the ones that we did for pick'em, is there a matchup in there that you're looking forward to?
I mean, I'm always looking forward to Best Center. You know, my boys obviously going to win against Mapletown, who historically, when I was in high school, weren't exactly very good, but it's nice to see them starting to come around, undefeated on the season, so it's going to be a tough test for the Bulldogs and for the Mapes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I'm looking forward to seeing Washoe and Greensburg Central Catholic. That's going to be a good one. I'm also looking forward to seeing my Red Raiders in the classic rivalry with Albert Gallatin and battle for the George C. Marshall Memorial Cup. I can't wait to see who comes out in that one, just because it's going to be an absolute dogfight. In those two schools, for whatever reason, regardless of how good the other is, each one is, those two will play a hard football on. I'm interested to see that one.
Hey, rivalry game is always the best game. You know, both teams, no one wants to lose. Everyone wants to come out with the victories of the spoils. So they just want to make sure that they're able to get the job done there. So that, like you said, that's going to be a good one to look out for.
And I think another sleeper one that we need to talk about, it's going to be Penn Trafford going to Bell Vernon. And I think that could have potential interest, maybe a game of the week one.
And
who knows?
Both teams very good. Bell Vernon, we don't really talk about them losing a lot, and they just lost. So I'm sure
they're going to be heated.
Bounce back.
They're going to be heated. So we're going to take a quick break, folks. When we come back, we're going to take a look at the conference standings and then our pick'em games of the week. So don't go anywhere.
More attractions. More fear. Survive the clowns in Twisted Nightmare 3D. Experience more scares than ever before. Haunted Hills Estate Scream Park returns September 9th. Get your tickets now at hauntedhillsestate.com.
Welcome back, everyone, into High School Roundup. I'm John Sakaguchi with John Sape here. Here's John and John in the morning, if you would. John, we went through all the matchups of last week. We went to the upcoming ones this week. So let's see where everyone stands now at where they are right now in the conferences.
Yeah, we can take a look firstly at the 1A Tri-County South. We got two teams sitting up at the top, Mapletown and California, both tied at 3-0. Then we got three teams fighting just behind them, Bentworth, Carmichaels, and Jefferson Morgan, all at 2-1. And following them, we got Best Center and Monessen, both at 1-2. And then West Green still looking for their first win of the season, sitting at 0-3.
Now moving on to the 1A Eastern Conference here. Nobody that doesn't have a loss, but there's still a few teams that are looking in for a win yet. Right now, all tied at first, two-way tie. Greensburg Central Catholic and Leechburg up there are in first. Sitting alone in third right now, Riverview, who at 1-2, and then Clarion and Fraser, Jeanette, and Springdale, Clarion and Fraser, Jeanette, Springdale, also all seeking that first victory at 0-3 right now.
And then moving on, we got the 2A Century Conference, a conference that, like we said, we talked about earlier, we'll definitely keep an eye on. We got Keystone Oaks, McGuffey, and Washington all sitting atop, sitting at 2-1. Following just behind them is Brentwood at 1-2. Charleroi, Stowe Rocks, and Waynesburg all looking for their first win. Charleroi and Stowe Rocks sitting at 0-2, and Waynesburg sitting at 0-3.
Moving on now to 3A Interstate Conference play. The only team that is still undefeated in that conference is the Warriors of Elizabeth Forward at 3-0. Greensburg, Salem, and Mount Pleasant tied for the second spot, 2-1 with a respectable record. Mount Pleasant Bell Vernon way down the standings right now at a 1-1 record. South Allegheny and Southmoreland and both tied for that fifth spot right now, all at a 1-2 record.
And then moving on, we got the 4A Big 7 Conference, and they're the Big 7 Conference for a reason. There's a bunch of very good teams in there, but sitting atop of them is Mckeesport, sitting at 3-0. Then we got three teams following just behind them at Latrobe, Laurel Highlands, and Thomas Jefferson, all sitting at 2-1. And then we got Connersville and Trinity sitting at 1-2, and then Ringgold still winless at 0-3.
And now rounding up the conference standings, we have our independent teams. Butler and Uniontown tied for the top team of the independents at 2-1. AG at 1-2, and Brownsville still seeking that first win, which I think they could probably pull it off this week, but we'll talk about more of that in a minute. But we could see a change here, John, with Uniontown and Albert Gallaudet, and since those two are playing each other this week. Now let's move on to the pick'em games. Let's see what we got. So what do we pick, John?
So our first game, we got Mckeesport at Laurel Highlands. Like we talked about, two teams just playing absolutely lights out right now. Mckeesport still sitting undefeated on top of that Big 7 conference. So that's one matchup that that both of us are definitely going to keep an eye on.
And then we have Jefferson Morgan at California, a conference rivalry, one that you've known for a little bit from around this area. Carrick at Brownsville, we'll talk about that one in a moment. Shadyside Academy at EF, Greensburg Central Catholic at Washington, and Fort Cherry at Chartiers Houston. And one that we didn't have on the list that we forgot to add, Uniontown laying host to Albert Gallaudet. So, a lot to talk about in those ones, John. So, first off, let's go through them. We've talked about this one a lot. Starting off with our game of the week, Mckeesport or Laurel Highlands.
I mean, like I just said, two teams playing absolutely amazing. Both teams looking to get first place in their conference. Just a good old fashioned top of the standings rivalry. And like I said, both teams just playing phenomenal. Mckeesport gaining that momentum off of the back of the huge win against Bell Vernon. Laurel Highlands picking up a big win as well. So both teams looking to push on. And
I'm jealous of Brian Rozak and Steve Super getting ready to call that one for WMBS and South Union Township. Next one, and we've talked about this one a little bit at Jefferson Morgan in California.
I mean, I think this one is going to be an interesting game, but not as close as maybe some of the other ones on this list. California just seems absolutely unstoppable right now in their offense, just putting up 50, 60 points every single game. Jefferson Morgan squeaked out a close one last week, so I don't know if they'll be afforded the same type of comfort in this one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. And just that California offense just playing out of their mind right now. Moving on to Carrick at Brownsville. Both of these schools looking for their first win of the season, but I feel confident about Brownsville for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's not often you say you're very confident in Brownsville, but like I said, they've been playing very well. And some of the games that we watch, especially I believe the one that they played against Uniontown last week that we talked about was there were some positives in that game that you can see, and that you can see that Brownsville maybe potentially starting to expand upon, especially in that triple option offense. So I'm sure they'll be able to maybe put up a formidable job against Carrick, but both teams, like you said, looking for their first win. Both teams hungry for their first win, so we'll see how that one plays out.
And we're not saying that just because our producer Gary he is from Brownsville.
If anything, I would be talking more smack about Brownsville.
But moving on down here, Shadyside Academy and EF, just two powerhouse teams as of late.
Yeah, two high-powered offenses that we've seen in the box scores just putting up 50, 60 points left and right, and no one's going to be able to stop them. So both teams, I think, finally facing their first real test of the season. So we'll see how each team fares against a more formidable opponent.
Now moving on to this one, Greensburg Central Catholic at Wash High. I am looking forward to this matchup as much as I am the Mckeesport LH match.
Yeah, this one has to go up there with arguably the game of the week. Just two absolutely stacked teams. Just two teams, just phenomenal and have been for a while now. So it's just looking to see which one, I guess, just once more, which one's going to come out on top.
I wouldn't be surprised if that one needs overtime, and I'm looking forward to seeing that the box score on Friday night. Next matchup, we got Chartiers Houston at Fort Cherry. Both coming off big wins. Both of them start getting ready to go into conference play next week. So let's see how they fare here.
Yeah, I agree. Both teams just swinging around the standings, coming near the top. So just looking to get an extra win in those non-conference games, just trying to build up their resume as much as they can before they get into the conference play. So both teams, I think, very close in skill, so I think that's going to be an interesting one. And
then the last one we forgot to add onto the graphic was Uniontown playing host to Albert Gallatin in a battle for the George C. Marshall Memorial Cup. I was part of that first team that won it, and it's just something I can say that I got to hold on to from high school. But, John, we've seen Uniontown's offense on a 2-game winning streak, bouncing back big after losing to Laurel Highlands. AG looking for a bounce-back win now after losing to North Garrett.
Yeah, like you said earlier, even though both teams, no matter how well they are in terms of skill, they're always going to play against each other super, super well. And that's just what rivalries are about. There's just something in the air when you're playing against one of your rival teams, and there's a very few rivalries bigger than Uniontown Albert Gallatin, so that one is going to be very, very, very fun to watch.
And I should also note that it's homecoming week this week for Uniontown, so
even better.
Both schools are going to have something to play for. Albert Gallatin looking for win the cup up and play spoiler to homecoming. Uniontown looking for the big duck for homecoming this week. But that's going to do it for this week on High School Roundup. Thanks to everyone in the booth, for our producer Gary Smith, John Sape. I'm John Sakaguchi. We'll see you guys next week here on High School Roundup. Take care, everyone.